Welcome to the Wellbeing Atelier. My name's Josephine. I'm a British trained, French registered occupational therapist or ergothérapeute based here in the south of France with my young family. We live in a beautiful vigneron house here, having swapped a small apartment in London for a more intentional, slow and sustainable way of living. The Wellbeing Atelier was intended as an in-person space but moved to online in 2020, offering occupational therapy inspired individual and group sessions. The Wellbeing Invitation was inspired by my own humdrum use of time as a simple, intentional, activity-based atelier that can be done in our own time to nourish and soothe and to explore the beauty that can be found in the everyday. It's about taking time out of our busy lives to deliberately turn the lens of our attention to some of the beauty available to us by engaging in some new activities. Taking an active step in taking care of our own health and well-being by making some simple adjustments to our days. That how we spend our moments is how we spend our days, which in turn becomes how we live our lives. Also inspired by Elsie de Wolf's quote, "I'm going to make everything around me beautiful, and that will be my life." So each month I'll be introducing a different theme with 3 different wellbeing activities designed to support and nourish our experience here for the short time that we're here. Who knows what my hair will be doing? And then around sort of halfway through the month, I'll do a little video to share about my experience of the practice. And without further ado, let me introduce you to this month's Wellbeing Invitation. Thanks so much for joining me on this adventure. Hello and welcome to a Wellbeing Invitation for September. My name is Josephine. I'm an occupational therapist based here in the south of France. And the idea behind these Wellbeing Invitations is to offer a simple occupational therapy inspired monthly prescription of activities intended to support well-being that you're invited to spend as little or as often as you like on. So September's here, and a time for many of us to be bringing back some order to our days, having left our routines by the wayside, or perhaps make way for the change of the incoming season. Or we're heading into autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you're transitioning into spring and then to summer. So whichever side of the world you're on, this is a good time to be making changes. This obsession with making New Year's resolutions, which I love as much as anybody else, or maybe you don't like them, the best time to be making changes is this sort of autumn transition and then this spring transition, in terms of the seasons of preparing ourselves for the relaxing summer or for the cold, dark winters or whatever. You may be somewhere where the weather's the same all of the time. So my 1992 inspired summer holiday into boredom, which you may have explored with me within the August atelier, I learnt a lot from, and perhaps you did too. So I'm going to be leaving behind a few things, social media, the iPhone, things I'm bringing in to include some my simple old-fashioned mobile phone for texts and calls. I'm carrying notebooks. I've brought a tote bag out of retirement, which I'm quite excited to use to fill with all of the things that I'm going to be carrying around with me. And what I'm leaving behind is morning pages. I have not missed journaling in the morning. Instead, in the morning I want to sit with a cup of tea or a coffee and wait for my children to wake up and not feel that sense of being interrupted that doing the morning pages did for me. I've worked out I've probably got around 7 more years with all of my children home together, and I don't want to miss a moment. I want to savour it. So, and that's one of the reasons that we moved here, was to allow for this slower, simpler life, and it feels like it's taken a while to detox from the busyness of our life in London. It's been coming up to 6 years, but that back to school feeling is still here, and it's both literal and metaphorical in our household as my children return to school today. And I won't lie, I have enjoyed the peace. So the intention of this month's Wellbeing Invitation is to harness that, bring some order back where we can, and to cultivate the space to manage some of the chaos that we will inevitably encounter. So I'm recording this in our lounge, and it's harvest time here. We live in the biggest wine region in the world, so if you're hearing noises of tractors, well, there you go. Life is lifey. We will get interrupted. It's inevitable. So, the Wellbeing Atelier, myself, I am cordially inviting you to cultivate a nourishing routine. We're going to do that with 3 things. 1, we're going to look at our timetables and play with our routines. Number 2, we're going to practice our handwriting. And 3, we're going to be introducing mindfulness of breath each day. All of the resources are available on the website, which I've linked below. We're going to have a look in a little bit more detail now about what they actually are. So 1, looking at your timetable and creating a mood board for how you'd like your days to look. So if you did take part in last month's Wellbeing Invitation, you may have a list of things from your to-do list that you left unattended. Perhaps the activities that you put to one side that were self-imposed, such as mine of journaling in the morning. I know a lot of people do 10,000 steps. It might have been making the bed. I don't know. Maybe there were things that you self-imposed that you've put to the side. And looking at that list of what you've missed, how to add that back in, and what you've not missed, are you able to now leave it out? So this is looking at our daily routines and our timetables. When we were at school, we would have had breaks in our day carved out for us to support the smooth running of the school environment. A range of lessons that brought diversity to our day. So we want to think about that when we're creating a timetable for ourselves, encouraging breaks, encouraging nourishing activities, having the work, things that we need to do, they need to be done, but including into your day perhaps an afternoon tea or going for a walk, some simple ways of taking breaks. And to help this, I invite you to create a mood board of how you'd like your day to look. So this could be images or poems or words. I personally enjoy cutting pictures from magazines and arranging them. You may prefer to do something digitally or to write things down. You could put it on your fridge. You could put it to somewhere that you're gonna see it. So kind of a visual idea of how you'd like your timetable to be looking. So this is a visual of how I set myself up. Very YouTubey here. So I'll pour myself tea. I'll have a Spotify playlist on, which I'll link below. And to begin with, I looked through my journal and picked out the pointers that I'd noticed over the month of August, where we were on holiday, of what I missed from our daily routine, and what I didn't miss. And then also the to-do list that I'd set to the end of the month, like what really needed to be done, what could just be left. And just having a nice cup of tea, making it as pleasurable an experience as possible before then transferring it over into pen. So you might have noticed I was working in paper. And then here I'm going through magazine clippings that I've collected over the years. I love magazines, and then I just cut out the pictures. So I was picking themes here around home, leisure and work. So the priority of time, of the activities that we want to be doing together as a family, and my work and boundaries around that. with this idea that how we spend our moments is how we spend our days, which is how we will live our lives. That was kind of the overarching feature of my thoughts around this new routine that I'm setting up. I want to make the most of my days. So there we are. Hopefully that's given you some pointers as to what you could be doing. So then number 2, handwrite a letter. So when I'm thinking about that, you remember the days when you had a blank page of a new notebook at the beginning of the school term, the promise it offered, this time I'll use my best handwriting throughout. That's what we're looking to harness with this activity. So as technologies become increasingly integrated into our daily lives, the traditional act of writing with a pen has become somewhat forgotten. Why would this impact on well-being? Well, I'm glad you asked. It has many, many benefits. We're going to focus on the cognitive side to begin with, inspired by an article from Pen Heaven that I'll link below. Actually, I'll link it in the page on the website. So it reinforces our reading and language processing skills. It allows time to slow down the thought processes, enabling the writer to think about the words, how we spell them, the structure of them. For me, certainly with my French, this is going to be helpful when I use autocorrect on my computer. It doesn't go in. I don't remember. I may make more sense, but I need to practice writing by hand. We can become more adept at the language that we're using. We can improve our memory. Writing creates unique pathways in the brain, causing those who wrote the notes by hand to remember the content more than when we've typed them. Helps us to be more creative. We've got a tendency to, it allows the flow of ideas as we put a pen to paper and we're not correcting until we get to the end. Which when we're doing things on the computer, our computers might prompt us to edit as we're going along. So it helps to get rid of that distraction that the digital world holds us. And writing forms a unique and irreplaceable part of our culture. Handwriting styles are unique to individuals and cultures, and they can't be replicated with a keyboard. So this is an invitation to dig out an old fountain pen, bring it back to life. You could write a note to a family member or friend. You could write a letter to yourself for 6 months' time. Or simply copy out a poem or a phrase that you love. And if you do write a letter that you post to somebody, you may have the luck of getting one back. Lost art of penmanship. And then thirdly, we've got the mindfulness of breath. We know, I'm sure you've heard many, many, many times over the benefits of mindfulness. So I'm not going to go into this. You can have a look at some of the resources that I have, or they're all over the internet. But essentially, we're starving for stillness and silence in our culture. There is noise and chaos everywhere, and we explored that last month with the taking a break from our routines. And now I'm going to encourage you to come into silence with yourself. And I suppose we'll realise just quite how unsilent we are. We're going to take a commitment to taking a break, to formally practicing mindfulness, to potentially, not necessarily promote relaxation, but it takes time to still our days of their busyness, to bring some quietness to our routines, to give our nervous systems a chance to regain some balance. And as I said, mindfulness may give the side effects of relaxation, but it may not. But it gives us an opportunity to step outside of our thinking brain into our bodies, to observe how our bodies are experiencing what it is to be us, rather than just this little space here. So over the next month, you're invited to sit for 10 minutes each day, and I've included 10-minute guided practice within the link to the prescription. And you can find some guidance on posture there as well, because that's really important. So there you go. There's your wellbeing invitation for this month. To look at your timetable and play with your routine. 2, to practice your handwriting. And 3, mindfulness of breath each day. I hope that you'll find these activities nourishing and interesting. As with any invitation, you can say no. You could do one. You don't have to do all of these things. If you'd like to explore any of these things in more depth, then you're more than welcome to reach out to me and organise a one-to-one session. The timetable and routine one, as you'll have probably seen from the I suppose my description of it and the video resources that I've added of myself doing it are quite in depth, and that can be a really interesting thing to explore individually together. So if you'd like to, do let me know. It's one of my favourite interventions, so I'm always happy to help with those. But so do let me know how you get on. And I've also got the meditation atelier starting again on the 15th of September. So if that's something you'd like to be doing in more depth, then please do let me know if you'd be interested in joining us. That can be accessed live or from recordings. So with that aside, have a wonderful September. I'll upload a review halfway through the month to let you know how I'm getting on with it. And if you like to be notified of that video, do like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in a couple of weeks, if not before, or perhaps in October for the next Wellbeing Invitation. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Au revoir.